Hello everyone and welcome to the show. Today I'm joined by Jack Fitzsimmons.
Hello.
And today we're going to be talking about 3 movies. We're going to be talking about Titanic, The Wizard of Oz and Ghostbusters. So, we're going to start off with Titanic. How many times have you seen Titanic before?
Once or twice if I can remember correctly. It's a long film, so...
Did you enjoy the film?
It was okay, yeah. It was an emotional film, but it didn't start off like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you know what happens to the Titanic before you see the movie, then you can kind of already grasp what's going to happen. You know? But it doesn't start off as intentionally emotional. It's a calm film at the start. It progresses on. It shows a romance and then a tragedy, and I think that's probably what I appreciate about it most. The fact that it has that visible blend, transition.
I mean, one reason why I like the Titanic is because of the amount of tension it builds towards the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like from the scene when you see the ship trying to avoid the iceberg till right at the very end. I think it's just all about the tension when the ship's sinking, etc. And that's the bit that I liked in the movie.
The climax of that tension is probably the scene where Jack's on what was it? Was it a door?
Yeah, a door.
Yeah, it was on the door. There was definitely enough space for both of them on that door.
Well, 100%.
And then I think that was probably the best way to let go of the character, though. You know, to see him die in sacrifice for his true love, I suppose you could call her. That was probably the climax of the tension that was built up during the film.
Yeah. But we're also going to talk about The Wizard of Oz, which is a really old movie.
Yeah.
1930s or 1940s, I think it came out.
1939, I think.
Yeah, and one thing I want to talk about is the fact that the movie's so old and the movie was in colour. I think was a really great achievement for the people that actually made the movie.
Because even TV didn't get colour until 1950s, 1960s, depending on where you were. But it wasn't all that advanced because the snow that they used was actually made of asbestos.
Yeah,
obviously
that's crazy.
They didn't know back then that it was bad for you, but it obviously was still very unsafe, no matter if they knew or not.
Yeah.
So it clearly wasn't too advanced. But the fact they got it in colour was really surprising, to be honest, for the time period.
Yeah, well, I think The Wizard of Oz has got a good storyline-ish. I don't love the movie, but I did enjoy it when I was little. One character who I love, probably the best character in the movie, if you ask me, is the Wicked Witch. When I was younger, and when I watched that, I was quite scared of the Wicked Witch.
It's characters like that are made to kind of put that oomph into the film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got the innocent young girl, and she's travelling around to find what it was she was trying to find, and she picks up these friends along the way, but then you need something that can contrast with that.
Yeah.
You need something that can be the opposite of an innocent young girl, and what's better than an evil wicked witch?
Yeah.
You know, I think that works well in Snow White. You know, I was terrified of that witch when I was younger.
Yeah.
So much so that I would probably still be scared of her now if I seen her. If I was watching her late at night in a dark room and she popped up on my screen, I probably wouldn't sleep.
Yeah. But yeah, overall I quite enjoyed The Wizard of Oz. There were some scenes that I thought boring, but for a film that was made so many years ago, I think it was a good film, to be honest. But we've also got Ghostbusters to talk about, and I mean, it's got nothing to do with the movie, but I love the Ghostbusters song. I think that really makes the movie.
But I think music in films is some of the most important, probably the most important
100%,
aspect.
I agree.
Because it's if you can have, say, horror films, for example, you can have this great storyline, okay, and it could be literally anything, and so long as it has a good backing track behind it, that can build that tension, that can make things sound creepy. You know, you get a zoom in shot on a say a wardrobe, for example, and you're thinking, what's in this wardrobe? But that's mainly because you'll have eerie music in the back that'll subconsciously make you start thinking. You know what I mean? And music in film is, for that reason, it's one of the most important aspects about films in general. And that Ghostbusters song just is a good song.
Yeah, I mean, I like the characters in the Ghostbusters, the actual Ghostbusters. I thought they were all great, and I think the film had good cinematography. Because it's also a fairly old movie. Movies that came out around that time, they didn't really look at cinematography like they do now. Right now, it's all serious. They have to get it right. Yeah. But back then, it was go with the flow and see how it goes, and it went well.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was like freelance. Like they definitely had an idea of what they were doing, but I think that they left it down to like probably more of like during the time they were filming. I would imagine that they made quite a few editorial changes, and like I think that happens with every film.
Yeah.
But in this instance, I think it was more, as you say, kind of go with the flow and, you know, see how things go.
Yeah.
And movies, and when did it come out, 80s or 90s?
It was the 80s or 90s. I think it was the 80s, if I could make a guess.
I think it was the 80s, because it's one of those films that, like, when you haven't seen it, and you tell someone in your family, for example, you've not seen it.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You've not seen Ghostbusters? It's a very memorable film, especially for people who were born in that era or grew up in that era, you know. And I think that's why it's so special to a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
a memorable film.
In my opinion, the 80s is like the best era for me. But like that, I think that's why I liked Ghostbusters, because it was set in that time. Like the clothing people wore, the music at the time. I just think the world was like amazing in the 80s. But anyway, that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for coming on the show,
Thank
Jack.
you for having us on, mate.